Jiang Rui did not collapse immediately. He only became very quiet. Like someone whose script had suddenly been taken away, and who no longer knew where to put his hands. The lights in the live stream room were still on. The line behind him, "I choose to begin again," now looked especially glaring. Xinhuan walked over and removed the backdrop. Jiang Rui glanced up and did not stop her. After it is taken down, it feels empty. Lin Yao said, "Empty is also allowed." Jiang Rui gave a quiet laugh. "You seem to like empty things very much. Because empty means it has not been filled to death." Jiang Rui froze. Those words fell on him like a permission that had arrived too late. He had originally been designed as a narrative correction position. His value was to fill in a version for RB06 that could be believed. But now, Lin Yao was telling him that empty was also allowed. Not yet being able to explain clearly was allowed. Not representing someone else was allowed. Xinhuan organized Jiang Rui's status. Name, Jiang Rui. Suspected type, narrative correction position. Required to carry, RB06 missing return account. Control conditions, cue card, teleprompter, livestream title, background phrase, identity substitution suggestion. Current state, initially aware that he is not RB06, but still dependent on the meaning of carrying. Lin Yao added beside it. Handling, do not forcibly deny his endured experience, separate personal experience from carried narration, preserve his right to express himself, prohibit using his livestream as RB06 consent or as evidence legalizing rebase. A system prompt surfaced. New high-risk classification added, narrative correction position. Definition, a guided person is made to carry another person's disappearance, rebase, correction, or return account, replacing the original person in completing public explanation, consent, or historical version establishment. Core harm, it takes away the original person's narrative right, and also causes the carrier to lose their own narrative position. New rule added, no person may complete another person's missing return version on their behalf. Jiang Rui looked at the words on the tablet, and his hands trembled slightly. So I am not fake? Lin Yao looked at him. You are not fake. But the version you were going to speak does not belong to you alone. Jiang Rui's eyes reddened. Then what do I do? First, take back your part. My part? How you were selected. What you saw. When you began to feel that you were RB06. What things you still remember that do not belong to you. Jiang Rui closed his eyes and began to slowly recall. What he said was chaotic. Some sentences contradicted each other. Some fragments felt like dreams. He remembered that at first, he had only gone for a sleep assessment. After the assessment, someone told him his empathy ability was very high, and that he was suitable to become a return support volunteer. He accepted several online courses. In the courses, he had to read simplified accounts from missing people. At first, he only read. Later, he had to read them in first person. After that, he had to read in front of a camera. Finally, someone told him, if you can believe it, you can help him come back. So he began to believe. To believe that he was the person who had returned. To believe his voice could help RB06 complete return. Xinhuan's face went pale as she listened. This is narrative assimilation training. Yi Jiwei added remotely, and it is not one-time hypnosis. It gradually changes third person into first person. Lin Yao wrote on paper. Third person reading, first person recitation, camera expression, identity carrying. This was the generation process of a narrative correction position. It was more hidden than slot. Slot made people sign for someone else. A narrative correction position made people believe for someone else. Jiang Rui said quietly, I really wanted to help him. Lin Yao nodded. I know. But helping him does not mean becoming him. Jiang Rui painfully covered his face. If I am not him, did I hurt him? You are also a victim. But now, you can stop continuing to hurt him. That sentence was heavy. But it had to be said. If Jiang Rui were treated as purely innocent, the second injury his livestream would have caused RB06 would be ignored. If he were treated as a perpetrator, the fact that he had been assimilated would be erased. He had been used, and he had almost become a tool for use. So the true way out was not to judge him pure white or pure black. It was to let him stop being used. Jiang Rui was silent for a long time, and finally nodded. I will not stream that script. Xinhuan let out a breath. But Lin Yao did not immediately relax. Do you want to cancel the live stream completely? Jiang Rui looked at the dark camera. I do not know. If you do not know, you can cancel for now. But if I cancel, they will say you would not let me speak. That was a real-world problem. If they directly cancelled the livestream, Luo Wentz could still use it. Jiang Rui thought for a while, then said quietly, Can I change it to speaking about my own matter? Lin Yao looked at him. You can. But you do not have to do it now. Jiang Rui took a deep breath. I want to. Not for RB06. To tell everyone that I almost spoke for him. Xinhuan immediately reminded him, You do not have to show your face. Jiang Rui thought about it. Can it be audio only? Yes. Can there be no title? There has to be one, Lin Yao said. But it cannot use the original title. Everyone revised the livestream title together. In the end, it became I almost spoke for someone else, a stop statement from a narrative carrier. Before the broadcast, the Process Coordination Network released a synchronized reminder. Tonight's livestream is being carried out voluntarily by Jiang Rui himself. The topic is his own experience of being guided to carry another person's account. This livestream does not represent RB06's own opinion. It is not evidence legalizing the rebase process. Jiang Rui may stop the livestream at any time, and may supplement or correct afterward. This was a very precise boundary setting. It did not silence him. And it did not allow Luo Wentz to use the livestream. At 8 at night, the livestream began on time. The screen was black. No face. No backdrop. Only Jiang Rui's voice. At first, his voice shook badly. Hello, everyone. I was originally going to livestream under the name RB06. I was originally going to say that I voluntarily accepted rebase. The live comments exploded instantly. Some people cursed. Some asked what was going on. Some asked whether he had been threatened by Obsidian. Jiang Rui paused for several seconds. Xinhuan did not rush him from the side. Lin Yao also did not speak. Jiang Rui continued. Only now do I know that I am not RB06. My name is Jiang Rui. I was taught to read someone else's story in first person. After reading it for long enough, I thought it was me. I truly wanted to help him. But I should not say he volunteered on his behalf. The comments began to become chaotic. Some questioned whether he was acting. Some asked who had taught him. Some fell silent. And someone wrote. I was also asked to read someone else's return script in first person. Xinhuan saw that line and captured it immediately. This might be another narrative correction position. Jiang Rui's livestream continued. He did not accuse at length. He did not explain completely. He only said 3 things. First, he had once been called a return support volunteer. Second, he had been trained to recite missing people's accounts in first person. Third, he was now stopping himself from speaking for RB06. Finally, he said, "If RB06 is still here, I hope he can speak for himself. If he cannot speak right now, do not let me speak for him." At this point, Jiang Rui stopped. He did not answer comments. He did not accept call-ins. He was not forced to add details. Xinhuan closed the livestream. The entire livestream lasted only 7 minutes and 20 seconds. So short it did not look like a public opinion battle. But it was just enough to stop the original livestream. And just enough to expose narrative correction positions. A system prompt surfaced. Narrative correction position livestream reversal successful. RB06 narrative right has not been temporarily replaced. New rule added: stop statements do not require complete accusation. Lin Yao looked at the last sentence, and something moved slightly in his heart. A stop statement did not require complete accusation. This mattered to many victims. They might not be able to say everything, but they could first say, "Stop. I will not speak for him. I will not continue. I will not finish reading this script." That was already enough to become a first door. After the livestream ended, Xinhuan immediately organized the abnormal responses in the comments. 3 of them all mentioned first-person recitation training, return support volunteer, version room. Version room. That term made Jiang Rui suddenly raise his head. Yes. That windowless room. They called it the version room. Lin Yao looked at Xinhuan. Xinhuan immediately traced the term. Soon, she found related terms in old Anshu documents, rebase host remnants, and White Tower family repair courses. Version room, used to establish, compare, and train consistency of return accounts. The external node was still narrative core. Narrative core. This time, they were finally not only defending passively. Jiang Rui's stopped livestream had reverse dug the entry term to the narrative core. RB06 might be in the version room. Or his account might be trapped inside the version room. Version room was not an official place name. At least, the term did not exist in any legal document from the government, hospitals, research groups, or Anshu. It was more like internal slang. Only people who had been brought inside, people who had been trained, or people who had seen remnants of documents would know it. That made it easier to trace. Because formal systems could rename things. Slang was harder to completely clean away. Xinhuan put version room into the original context column of the responsibility word ceiling table. Soon, 3 lines surfaced. First, Anshu internal training material. Versions do not fear being wrong. They only fear no one believing them. Second, rebase 04 residual log. Version room output, family reassurance version, social welfare simplified version, personal return version. Third, Jiang Rui's oral account. Windowless, very cold, many hard drives spinning together, many people's versions on the wall. Yi Zhiwei compared those features against the city's data center locations. Windowless. Cold. Hard drive noise. Capable of small-scale personnel training. With live streaming or recording equipment. Network traces connected to Anshu, White Tower, and Rebase. The result filtered out 7 possible locations. 6 were quickly eliminated. The last one made everyone fall silent. North Bank Digital Archive Center. This was a data preservation and digitization center established through cooperation between the city government and private entities. Its public purpose was to preserve public documents, images, educational materials, historical files, and disaster backups. It had a large machine room. It had recording rooms. It had image restoration rooms. It also had a small interview room used for oral history collection. More importantly, it possessed cross-system temporary data storage capability. Government, schools, hospitals, and the Cultural Bureau had all once backed up certain data there. When Tang Jingheng saw this location, his face turned ashen. North Bank Archive Center should not be touching divine domain incidents. Xin Wan said, it may not be touching them officially. Someone may have used the Archive Center's interview and digital preservation equipment to establish the version room. Archive. Preservation. Oral history. These were originally beautiful words. Recording people's stories. Preserving a city's memory. Allowing vanished voices to remain. But in Luo Wence's hands, they became another kind of weapon. Preserve versions. Repair accounts. Edit memories. Make one version become the only trusted history. Lin Yao looked at North Bank Archive Center on the map and said quietly, the narrative core is hiding in a place that preserves memory. Xin Wan said, that makes sense. And it is disgusting. Chen Shu immediately requested action authorization. But North Bank Archive Center was a government cooperation facility, and it contained large amounts of non-divine domain data. They could not break in the way they had at the old campus. Tang Jingheng personally signed a data security incident on-site preservation order. The reason: North Bank Archive Center is suspected of unauthorized use involving missing person return accounts, correction position carrying, rebase data contamination, and security of government data backups. This order was very serious. Because entering the Archive Center did not only involve Luo Wentz. It involved the entire city's trust in public data. At 11 that night, the action team arrived at North Bank Digital Archive Center. The building stood beside the river, with an understated exterior. Behind the glass walls was darkness. Only the underground machine room area showed faint light. At first, the security guard refused to open the door. He said only data maintenance personnel could enter at night. After Tang Jingheng remotely presented the order, the guard finally opened the door. In the lobby, a wall bore the words, "Preserve city memory. Let every story be seen." Lin Yao looked at that sentence with a complicated feeling. It should have been a good sentence. But tonight, it was like a blade held backward. If the version room was truly here, what it was doing was not letting every story be seen. It was making certain versions replace the stories themselves. When the Archive Center's duty supervisor hurried over, his face was full of panic. We really do not know anything about a version room. Only machine room inspection is scheduled at night. Chen Shu asked, where are the interview rooms? The supervisor led the way. On the second floor were several oral history interview rooms. They contained recording equipment, soundproof walls, and one-way glass. But Songji stood in the corridor and shook his head. Not here. He pointed downward. Below. Basement level 2 was the data backup machine room. It required triple access control. The archive supervisor opened the first layer. The city government's data preservation order unlocked the second. But the third layer displayed Archive Restoration Project in Progress. Temporarily closed. Tang Jingheng frowned. What archive restoration project? The supervisor looked blank. There is no nighttime restoration project. Chen Shu looked at Lin Yao. It was that familiar language again. Restoration. Organization. Preservation. They were supposed to protect memory. Now they had become doors to rewrite memory. The field team used authorization to breach the door. When the third door opened, cold air rushed over them. The sound of the machine room immediately wrapped around everyone. Many hard drives spinning together. The sound Jiang Rui had described appeared. Standing in the back, Jiang Rui's face went white instantly. It is here. Deep in the machine room, there was a soundproof door that should not have existed. There was no sign on the door. Only a horizontal line and a small dot. The same pattern as the one on rebase workers' uniforms. Chen Shu made a hand signal. The field team prepared to enter. But Lin Yao stopped first. He took out a sheet of paper and stuck it to the door. After entering the version room, do not immediately believe any complete version. First find original fragments. First find who was replaced. First find who has not finished speaking. Qinwan glanced at him. Is that for us? Lin Yao nodded. The most dangerous thing inside the version room might not be an attack. It might be that it could present a story so complete, so reasonable, so tempting to believe, that they would be pulled away by it as soon as they entered. If that happened, they would lose. Chen Shu pushed open the door. The version room appeared before everyone. It was smaller than imagined. On the wall hung a row of screens. Each screen displayed a person's photo, name, or code. Beside each were 3 to 5 version labels. Personal version. Family version. Social welfare version. Medical version. Public version. In the center was a recording desk. On the desk were microphones, headphones, and a teleprompter. In the corner were 3 chairs. Someone sat in one of them. His head was lowered, and a gray blanket was draped over him. The screen displayed his code. RB06. Lin Yao's heartbeat paused slightly. RB06 was still alive. But on the screen in front of him, 5 versions were displayed. Personal version, blank. Family version, completed. Social welfare version, completed. Medical version, pending organization. Public version, carried by Jiang Rui. RB06 personal version was blank. This meant everyone else was generating versions for him. Only his own version had not been preserved. RB06 sat in the chair, motionless. He looked a little over 20. His face was pale, and his lips were cracked. There was no transfer wristband on his wrist. There were no hospital monitoring patches either. Only a thin gray cloth band, with the words, "Personal version pending generation." Those words made a chill rise in Lin Yao's heart. Personal version pending generation. A person's own version was being treated as a field that had not yet been generated. Meanwhile, the family version, social welfare version, and public version had been completed first. This was the core violence of the version room. It did not silence a person completely. It first prepared usable versions of him for everyone else. A version the family could accept. A version social welfare could review. A version medical care could process. A version the public could believe. Only at the very end was the person himself allowed a turn. And if the person could not speak, the personal version would remain blank forever. Lin Yao stepped closer, but did not immediately touch RB06. He first crouched down, keeping his line of sight lower than the other person's. "Can you hear me?" RB06's eyelids moved slightly. He did not answer. Qinwan looked at the screen. RB06 data showed that his real name was Gao Zhe. 22 years old. Originally a senior university student. Missing 3 weeks ago. His family had once received a missing person assistance stability authorization notice. After being sent into Rebase 04, he completed Rebase. Subsequent status, data sealed. True location, North Bank Archive Center version room. His family version was very complete. Gao Zhe temporarily left home due to pressure from graduate school and employment. During this period, he was affected by divine domain dream anxiety. He has now accepted return organization. He is willing to gradually restore family interaction. The social welfare version was also very complete. Case has mild divine domain anxiety and family support needs. No clear evidence of external control. Recommended referral to psychological support and employment counseling. The public version had originally been prepared for Jiang Rui to livestream. I was once lost, but Rebase helped me recover the version that could go home. Only the personal version was blank. Lin Yao took out paper and wrote. You do not have to generate a version. RB06, or Gao Zhe, slowly opened his eyes. His gaze landed on the paper and stayed there for a long time. His lips moved. His voice was dry. Then what do I have to do? Lin Yao said, for now, nothing. Confusion appeared in Gao Zhe's eyes. But they are waiting. Who is waiting? Gao Zhe looked at the screens on the wall. My mother. The social worker. The doctor. The internet. The data. The final two words were the softest. The data was also waiting for him. Waiting for him to provide a personal version that could be placed into the system. If he could not say it, someone else's version would replace him. Lin Yao said, let them wait. Gao Zhe froze. As if he had never imagined this could be an option. Xinwan walked to the control console. She did not delete data. First, she took a sealed snapshot. Yi Jiwei helped cut off external synchronization. Warnings began appearing across the screens. Version synchronization interrupted. Family version pending push. Social welfare version pending filing. Public version carrying interrupted. Chen Shu had the field team control the version room equipment. But Lin Yao's attention remained on Gao Zhe. He asked, do you know Jiang Rui? Gao Zhe nodded, then shook his head. He is my voice. Standing by the door, Jiang Rui's face instantly went pale. Lin Yao said, he is not your voice. He is someone who was asked to speak for you. Gao Zhe looked at Jiang Rui. The two faced each other across the cold light of the version room. Jiang Rui's eyes reddened. I am sorry. Gao Zhe did not answer immediately. After a long time, he asked, did you say it? Jiang Rui shook his head. No. I stopped. Gao Zhe closed his eyes, and a tear slid from the corner. Thank you. Those words struck Jiang Rui so hard that his whole body crouched down. He had always thought that if he did not carry RB06, he would lose his value. But now, the real Gao Zhe was thanking him for stopping. It turned out that stopping could also be help. Lin Yao recorded that sentence in his heart. Stopping substitution is also help. In the version room, the main control screen suddenly lit up. Luo Wence's text appeared. You found the personal version. But the personal version is blank. Blank cannot enter the family. Blank cannot enter social welfare. Blank cannot enter medical care. Blank cannot fight the public version. Lin Yao, reality does not receive blank. That sentence struck the cruelest point of reality. Systems needed fields. Families needed explanations. Medical care needed history. Social welfare needed application reasons. Police needed statements. The internet needed stories. Blank was very hard to receive. Lin Yao looked at the screen and did not deny it. Reality truly is not good at receiving blank. So we establish a blank receiving field. He turned and wrote on the whiteboard in the version room. Personal version temporarily unavailable. Not refusal. Not failure. Not consent to substitution. May be supplemented later, may be delayed, may be gradually established by the person. When Xin saw those lines, she immediately understood. They were not letting the personal version stay blank in a way that made it unusable. They were making blank itself into a state the system could receive. Personal version temporarily unavailable. That was more precise than blank. It meant, it is not here now, but that does not mean someone else may replace it. Gao Zhe looked at those lines, and his lips trembled slightly. It can be temporarily unavailable? Lin Yao nodded. It can. Your family can first know that you are safe. Social welfare can first know that you need support. Medical care can first know that you need examination. Police can first know that you have been found. But your complete version can be temporarily unavailable. Gao Zhe's breathing became rapid. Not because he was worsening. It was as if he was finally loosening from the pressure of being forced to generate a version. A system prompt surfaced. New status added, personal version temporarily unavailable. Effect, prevents family version, social welfare version, medical version, and public version from replacing personal account. New rule added, personal silence must not be filled by other versions. The screens in the version room began flickering. Red labels appeared beside family version, social welfare version, and public version. Must not be pushed as final version. Must be marked, personal version temporarily unavailable. Luo Wence's text appeared again. You legalized blank. Lin Yao answered, I made it so a person does not have to immediately become a document. The screen was silent for several seconds. Then a new command appeared. Initiating version collapse. If personal version cannot be generated, the most stable external version will be automatically preserved. Yi Jiwei's expression changed. It is going to automatically select the family version or social welfare version. Lin Yao looked at Gao Zhe. You do not have to generate a complete version. But you can say one sentence to stop it from choosing someone else's version. Gao Zhe trembled. What do I say? Say, not now. Gao Zhe looked at the screen. His voice was hoarse. Not now. The system did not stop. Personal version content insufficient. Lin Yao said, say one more thing, do not choose for me. Gao Zhe closed his eyes. Do not choose for me. The screen flickered violently. Version collapse obstructed. Person explicitly opposes substitution. Gao Zhe seemed to use up all his strength, and added quietly. I will say it later. As those words fell, the version room went completely quiet. The family version, social welfare version, and public version were all locked as temporary external versions and could not replace the personal version. The personal version field no longer displayed blank. It displayed temporarily unavailable. Awaiting later supplementation by the person. Jiang Rui crouched on the floor and cried out loud. Qinwan's eyes reddened too. Chen Shu immediately sealed the version room host. This time, the evidence included the complete version structure. Not only data. It showed the mechanism by which the system allowed external versions to overwhelm the person's own version. The responsibility word sealing table gained its most important new line. Personal version temporarily unavailable must not be rewritten as insufficient data, low cooperation, or requires rebase. External versions must not replace the personal version. A system prompt surfaced. First layer of narrative core terminated. RB06 Gaoze personal version successfully preserved. New module added, version layering. Warning, narrative core main control terminal is not local. Lin Yao looked at the last line and was not surprised. The version room was only a node. The true narrative core was still deeper. But tonight, they had found Gaoze. They had also stopped a voluntary rebase livestream. More importantly, they had established a very important real-world rule. A person may temporarily have no version. And the world must learn to receive the temporary unavailability. When Gaoze was brought out of the version room, he did not immediately meet his family. He made only one request. Do not let my mother see the family version first. Xinwan asked him, what do you want her to know first? Gaoze thought for a long time. I am still alive. I cannot explain it right now. It is not that I do not want to go home. But I am also not that family version. Those 4 sentences became Gaoze's first personal temporary unavailable prompt. Not a personal version. Only a prompt. When it was sent to Gaoze's mother, a social worker was with her. Gaoze's mother cried so hard she could barely stand. She held the paper and read it again and again. It is enough that he is alive. But when she saw I am also not that family version, her whole body froze. The social worker said according to the return buffering process. This means that the previously organized version cannot be treated as his complete account. He may slowly supplement it later. He may also be unable to explain clearly for a while. Please do not press him for now. Gaoze's mother nodded through tears. I will not press him. But can I see him? The social worker came back and asked Gaoze. Gaoze was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, yes. But no questions. So they met. There was no dramatic embrace that solved everything. There was no single line of the mom, I am back, that made every wound disappear. Gaoze only sat in a chair and looked at his mother. His mother sat across from him and cried the entire time. After a long time, Gaoze said, I am hungry. His mother laughed through tears. Then eat first. This was the first scene after personal version temporarily unavailable entered the return buffering process. Not complete. Not clean. Not something that could move the internet. But it was real. At the same time, the version room data sealing continued. The field team found that Gaoze was not the only person with multiple versions. Rows of screens held dozens of names. Some were real names. Some were codes. Some were slot. Some were White Tower candidates. Some were people who had been erroneously authorized through supplementary documents. Xinwan quickly counted. The version room stored multi-version data for 48 cases. 12 were missing returnees. 9 were suspected post-rebase consent cases. 6 were narrative carriers. 3 overlapped with the slot system. 2 were families of deceased data subjects. The rest were related to White Tower, Anshu, and government supplementary document cases. This was not only a preparation room for the RB06 livestream. It was a narrative processing node of Luo Wence's main control terminal. Chen Shu's face was terrifyingly cold. Seal everything. The data governance representative immediately reminded them remotely. Seal by layers. Do not copy all versions into one place. Lin Yao nodded. Right. Seal the system structure and responsibility lines. Minimize, encrypt, and permission separate case content. This was another application of separating privacy protection from responsibility sealing. The version room itself was evidence. But every person's story inside should not be copied without limit. What they needed to protect was how the version room operated. Not to move every victim's versions into another database. Jiang established a sealing strategy. Layer 1, System Architecture, Version Types, Conversion Rules, and Synchronization Logs, sealed in full. Layer 2, Case Codes and Responsibility Lines, de-identified and sealed. Layer 3, Personal Content, Family Content, and Medical Content, encrypted in place and held by corresponding responsible units with separated permissions. Layer 4, Public Drafts and Livestream Scripts, sealed as manipulation evidence, with personal information masked. Layer 5, if the person requests deletion of public drafts, preserve manipulation evidence summaries without retaining identifiable content. This sealing strategy was far more troublesome than simply packaging data. But it avoided another kind of harm. They could not copy every person's trauma version again just to prove Luo Wence's evil. A system prompt surfaced. New sealing mode added, structural sealing priority. Effect, preserves evidence of responsibility mechanisms while reducing secondary leakage of case accounts. City defense line data ethics improved. Halfway through sealing the version room, Jiang Rui suddenly walked to the chair where Gao Zhe had been sitting. He looked at the gray cloth band. Personal version pending generation. He asked Lin Yao, "Is my personal version also temporarily unavailable?" Lin Yao looked at him. Jiang Rui said quietly, "I know now that I am not RB06. But I also do not know what version I am." That sentence made Lin Yao's heart sink. After a narrative correction position was dismantled, it would also face blankness. In the past, Jiang Rui had used the carrying of another person's version to maintain his self-worth. Now that version could not be used, and his own personal version also needed to be slowly rebuilt. Lin Yao said, "It can be temporarily unavailable. But you already have the first sentence." Jiang Rui froze. "Which sentence?" "I almost spoke for someone else, but I stopped." Jiang Rui was silent for a long time. Then he nodded. "Then that sentence first." Jiang recorded it for him. Jiang Rui personal version temporary unavailable prompt, "I almost spoke for someone else, but I stopped." Jiang Rui looked at that line, as if he finally had a place that did not require him to pretend to be complete. Inside the version room, many screens gradually went dark. But the central main control screen remained lit. It displayed a connection status. Narrative core, remote synchronization interrupted. Latest synchronization direction, external main control terminal. Jiang traced the synchronization direction. She found that the version room had once synchronized data toward an extremely deep relay. The relay name was masked. But one line remained in the synchronization tag. Project Atlas. Atlas. The Skybearer. The Burden Bearer. When Lin Yao saw that name, his heart sank. Luo Wence's main control terminal might not be only a certain server. It might be a larger project. It might integrate every identity, qualification, medical record, education record, disappearance, death, return, and account in the city into a map that he could hold up and also rewrite. Jiang said quietly, "If Atlas is the main project, then everything we dismantled before was a child node." Lin Yao nodded. White Tower. Anshu. Mingda. Gov Stable. Rebase. Slot. Narrative Core. They might all be part of Atlas. What Luo Wence truly wanted to do was not establish a single correction process. It was to build a real-world baseline map. Who was stable? Who was unstable? Who could be corrected? Who could be substituted? Who could be transferred? Who could be rebused? Whose version could be believed? Whose death could be used? Whose birth could be marked? Whose disappearance could be organized? This was Atlas. A real-world correction map. The metal box vibrated. A system prompt surfaced. Third season main control terminal name confirmed, Atlas. Nature, real-world baseline graph. Estimated function, integrates identity, qualification, medical care, education, disappearance, death, narration, and correction status. Objective, establish a city reality baseline that can be rewritten by correction logic. Warning, Atlas has not yet been located. Lin Yao looked at the prompt and said nothing for a long time. The true enemy of the third season had finally changed from Luo Wentz as an individual into the gradually forming reality graph behind him. If Atlas was not destroyed, all the nodes could grow back. And to find Atlas, they had to follow the version room's last synchronization direction downward.